Hello guys and girls, MMA community, YouTubers, and Dana White Contender Series fans. We're going to be talking about the Dana White Contender Series night tonight, or fight night coming up on Tuesday, tomorrow. So we're getting the video out the way today. I usually don't have time to do this segment till last week I did like an hour of research before I was able to bring out the video. So I do apologize, but we've been doing great. We cashed in. Ever since I started doing these, we've had profitable nights every single time. The first week, we went undefeated 4 out of 4 on the card in straight single bets. So you could have parlayed the whole thing, which is what I would have recommended if you were my Patreon. Which is then the next week, we got the main card. At the main event, correct. We had an underdog who cashed in, very good underdog, who went against an undefeated prospect that I told you would be somebody who was going to try to end up taking him to the ground because he was so deadly and he was longer and harder hitting than he was. The Brazilian named Sosa was also somebody who I said I did see win fights from his back and was very good on his back. So when his opponent, who I predicted would take him to the ground, who would imagine he'd be safer down there, was actually going to be even a bigger threat, which is how I even called not just that the underdog was going to win, but that he would do it off his back, which he did spend 80% of the fight down there winning the fight from his back, which is very rare. You hardly see somebody who's being controlled 80% of the fight and still wins. But we did predict that, so hopefully you guys cashed in and made some big bucks. Again, the difference between being in my Patreon, so you'll get the predictions, you'll get the picks, but if you don't know how to bet it, you may still lose money instead of winning money. But on this card, let me tell you guys now, I usually have a rule to tell my patrons, don't bet much on these cards. Anything besides bet, like if it's a Bellator card or a Dana White Contender Series card, if they're unproven fighters, we haven't seen them time after time be consistent and prove themselves, then we're not going to put money on it because that's called gambling, and that's not what my patrons are advised to do. We like to invest on people who are proven and consistent. But in this case, man, I gotta be honest, I'm gonna be telling my patrons to make some moves that are usually not the type of advice I would give them, but we have some big money that we can make on this card. There's gonna be a lot of fights that are gonna go the way that I would, just like the first week when I was able to give you guys a 100% accurate. Like when I give you guys a breakdown a day in advance, then you know that I came prepared. I did do my research, and as I've told you in previous videos, when I do research and I had time to do it and really look through the tapes and study the fighters, because remember, I was a trainer, a fighter, and a fan. So when I see and I dissect two fighters, it's like I seen the fight already. I pretty much already watched these fights. That's why I was able to tell you how the guy was going to win, and I predict them. Even the Gravely fight, I told you how he was going to win exactly. The Strickland fight, I even put it in my comments like a week before the fight started, and exactly what I put in the comments, you would think I watched the fight already. So the way I break down fights, I don't tell you who's going to win, but how they're going to win as well. I said if Allen, who everybody else was high on, all the other guys with podcasts, the odd makers who made him the favorite, the commentators, everybody picked Allen. I told you every time he's going to try to close the distance on Strickland, he's going to get punished for it. After the first minute of the first round, Allen looked like he'd been in a 6-round fight. So everything and the Souza guy from the Dana White Contender won the fight off of his back, as I told you I've seen him do, and he would end up doing when the guy tries to take him down because he was getting punished on the feet. So I don't get lucky time after time. This is all because I've been in the fights. I've managed and trained fighters to do the strategic aspect behind fighting. So I know the game plan. If I see somebody's primarily a good boxer or a wrestler or this type of, I've studied it all, so I know what game plan they're going to implement. I know the opponent, after I study him, what kind of a defense he's going to have and what type of an answer he's going to have to that, so then I can do the, it's almost like a math problem. If you just keep doing it step by step, you know the equation. Therefore, if you can know the answer, you can know the equation. I know the equation. If I can tell you who's going to win, I should be able to tell you, as long as I didn't steal it from somebody else, which I never do. That's why most of my predictions come out before everybody else's, and their picks are different from anybody else's, like the last week's Strickland's and the Gravely's and all the other ones that I got right, but also I'm going to be able to dissect exactly how it's going to go. And that's what I was able to do on this card, so be prepared. But if you're a patron, it's going to pay off way better, man. Pay that small fee, because I'll be able to tell you based off the confidence level. I can tell you who's the more likely one of these to win. Like, besides telling you who's going to win and how they're going to win, I can also tell you the likelihood of it being that because I know the different probabilities. So like, I'll be able to say this thing has a 90% probability because there is no other probabilities. This guy's a one-dimensional type of a person. He's a one-trick pony, as opposed to another fighter who's like a six-trick pony who could do all these different things, and that person can do this responding to that type of a thing, and then there's different variables and variations of possibilities. So therefore my likelihood would go down, my confidence in that would go down, and that's why we wouldn't like parlay that. But that's how I make my decisions on who we're gonna parlay and who we're not. It's all strategic and logic and percentages in my mind. So there's a system behind the beauty. There's some beauty behind the madness, believe it or not. So it's not just all just numbers I'm throwing out or picks I'm throwing out, I mean. But all right, let's get started. Sorry for the tutorial over there I went into with you guys, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from at least now. All right, so the Fighting Guru is going to start with your first fight of the night on the Dana White Contender Series, Week 10, Series 36, November 17th. We're going with Chelsea. Whoa, where did I go? Anyways, we're going to pick Chelsea Hackett to beat Victoria Leonardo. Victoria Leonardo is somebody who doesn't have the best IQ, does not handle herself very well, and she puts herself in positions that she's not capable of getting herself out of. So she's the type that just kind of fights without, she'll wing it. She doesn't have a strategy. She doesn't stick to a game plan. She's very like spontaneous, which is, sometimes it works in her favor because she's unpredictable, because not even herself knows what she's going to do. So sometimes fighters like that, they get lucky and they can land something, and you know, a fight is a fight. Even sometimes not the best fighter will always win in a fight. So if you fight 10 times, the better fighter is not always going to win 10 times. So she does sometimes get the advantage, and I hope this is not one of those situations, because I'm confident that the undefeated Chelsea Hackett will have her father on her side to motivate her to do even better. I know that when I used to have people I knew watching me fight, it made me a better fighter. So I'm hoping that's going to be something that helps her as well. That's something you want to also keep in mind. When like Justin Gaethje said when he was fighting Khabib, he said that he was going to fight the best he's ever fought, because there's no way he said in his words, I'll never tap out to Khabib because my parents will be there. And I believe him. That's why, if you remember what Khabib said, he's like, I didn't want to put him in an armbar because he won't tap. I'll have to break his arm. So I chose the lesser evil, which was putting him to sleep so he doesn't have to tap, and I can just win and he'll wake up and no harm done, not have to embarrass his friend Justin, who he was in the same team with. They're managed by the same, so they've trained together. Justin helped them do weight cuts before when he was having trouble cutting weight, so they were kind of friends. But you know, he did the respectable thing, and with honor, he put him away nice and easy. Anyways, back on track. We got Chelsea Hackett. I don't want to spend. I got another video I got to give to my patrons. They're gonna get the rest of the breakdown for $255. And oh man, do I got some beautiful picks and mismatches. I found ways to turn big favorites into plus money. Oh, we're going to make a killing just off of, I've never seen a card where just off of single bets alone, we don't even have to make a single parlay in the entire night, and we're going to make more than triple our money on that card without taking any risks hardly. So it's going to be one of my best weeks coming up. You make sure you want to join in the Patreon so that you can get my own personal bet slips, my tutorial videos about how to bet, who to bet, and all the good stuff to make you the maximum money on your money back. So anyways, we're picking Chelsea Hackett to win this fight. You don't have to bet it any other way. Just bet it straight money line. Chelsea's somebody who's still improving on her game. She's developing it, so there's no saying how exactly she'll win. She's had she has 3 wins. One of them she had won by slamming somebody to the canvas, knocking them out. The other ones were by decision. So we don't know what we can expect from her on this card, especially with somebody who's unpredictable, and we don't know exactly what type of a game plan they're going to utilize against her. So anyways, sorry, my allergies. All right, next fight on the card, JP Rise versus, no, I'm sorry, Nick Maximov versus, I don't even think this is the right order. I think this is all messed up actually. So I think that's the main event actually. So let me see if I have better notes. Oh, whatever. Who cares? You'll get the whole card. Let's go. We're going to pick Nick Maximov against Oscar Coda to beat Oscar. Oscar's a heavy hitter. He's a hard hitter. Don't get me wrong. He knows how to, he's a little bit on the bigger side. He's going to come in with a bigger size advantage in the weight area, I guess. He walks around much bigger, so when he fills in, he's going to be a bigger guy in there. But as far as skills-wise, the youth advantage, the opponent, Nick, is going to be in his prime, and he's going to be the more better physical shape. He'll have the better cardio. He'll be not fading away like we've seen Oscar do. Oscar's very predictable. Even when he throws his kicks, you see it. You can catch them and take them to the ground. It's a very big mismatch, skill levels and cardio levels, and some of the most important things that you need in the fight to be better at. It's a big mismatch. So without getting into too many details and wasting time, I'm gonna go with undefeated Nick Maximov to take Oscar Coda out. Now, I don't think they have the odds out on these yet, so I don't want to tell you how to bet this. And unless you're my patron, I wouldn't tell you anyways. But so I'm just going to give you the picks, and you can do what you want with it when you figure out what the numbers are or who the favorites are. I think if I'm not mistaken, I know for sure at least 2 of these picks of mine are going to be underdogs. So that's for sure. I know at least 2 of my picks are underdogs, and we'll have some good value as single bets. All right, Jacob Silva versus JP Buys. I got JP Buys. This is another one of those that I expect this to be a mismatch. The youth, the skill level. It's a similar situation as the previous fight we just called. JP's just a way better all-around fighter, younger, more impressive. And so I'm going to pick JP on this one. And let's see here. He's got, I think, 90%, like 80-something%. I did the math. It was like 87% of his fights are all by finishes. He's like on a 4-fight win streak. His opponents kind of got, he's coming off of a loss, I think. So that's another thing. The other guy will be, JP will be coming in with some momentum. And also his opponent, JP's opponent, he's actually, the most of the fights, he's actually coming off of a loss from a guy who's got more losses than wins. So to have that type of level of competition and not be able to just walk through them, you're not going to get past somebody like JP. So who is actually, in my opinion, lower level, but UFC caliber. So this is a big mismatch everywhere it goes. I got my buddy JP Buys taking this from Silva. All right, now here's my underdog pick of the night. My favorite underdog pick, and this one should have some good value, is Tucker Lutz. I was told is coming in as an underdog. I don't know why, to be quite frank. He's the way more experienced. Besides some areas, maybe like in the submission department, but even there, he can hold his own. I've seen him on the ground. He's very strong down there. He reminds me like of how Tony Gravely's gonna have had an advantage over that guy he was fighting with. I always mess up his name. Gratis, whatever it was. But anyways, the way Gravely was controlling the wrestling against the guy who's a more high level ground specialist. He was a black belt, but he was still gratis, was not getting the better positioning. As I told you guys, because of his strength, he's the kind of guy that would be able to bench press way more than his opponent. So therefore, it would only make sense that on the floor, when they're just chest to chest, arm to arm, trying to fight for positioning, the guy who's stronger at bench pressing, in my exact words when I broke down that video before the fight, I said, the guy who's going to be the one who could do a better and more weights on the bench press is going to be the same guy that will get you that'll get the better in the exchanges and the grappling on the ground, who will earn the better positioning. Obviously, that means earn the more control time, which, as you guys saw in the fight, was like 10 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight. against his opponent. Radis had like a 1 minute control time compared to his 10-minute. It wasn't even close, which is why I was going crazy when I found out that one of the judges, it turned into a split decision win. I was like, what are these guys, what fight were they watching for them to give his opponent one of the or two of the rounds? So that was crazy. But anyways, I told you why that was, why they did those decisions the way they did them, is because it was a force. It was just a warning for the future. Like, expect to get a lot of decisions wrong. So that's why we've pulled an audible, so to speak, and I've made some tweaks and adjustments on our game plans from here on, so that we can make more money taking less risks. So it was for the better. Sometimes these type of things, they happen for a reason, and it made me a better investor for these fight nights. I came out with a way better strategic plan that'll prevent them from being able to take our profits by robbing us at the decision scorecards like they've done so many times, like the Bobby Greens, the Ganrots, the Kay Hansen fight. So there's so many situations where we could have won way more if we were smarter. But I made the adjustments, and that won't have to be a problem for us anymore. Anyway, so I got JP buys, the more well-rounded, better, younger, technical guy to win on that fight. And let's go to the next fight on the card. I think it's going to be... Oh, Gloria de Paula, Pauline Masayas. A lot of people are torn about who's going to be the better on this one. I definitely want to say that it shouldn't even be this close. I don't even know who's the favorite here, but if I'm not mistaken, Pauline Masayas, the girl who I'm going to go with, is the underdog. And so the reason I'm picking her is they're both good fighters, so this will be an excellent fight. It'll be fun to watch. One of the things I've told you guys in the past is one of the most important things, next to wrestling, more important than jiu-jitsu, more important than taekwondo, more important than anything else, is boxing. Because the fight will always, it's not going to start on the floor. It's always going to start on the feet. And if you're a well-rounded mixed martial artist, you should be able to keep it on the feet if you want to, like how Strickland did, and why I said that the odd makers had it wrong and Strickland should have been the favorite. Anyways, this is going to be a similar situation. Like what I was noticing when I was doing tapes research on these two girls is the advantage that I saw Pauline Masayas is going to have is her fluid striking and footwork and the way she cuts angles. Look, I'm a boxer. I'm a great wrestler. I'm a great jiu-jitsu specialist. Nobody can do submissions like I'm like a Paul Craig. I'll put you in a submission when you least expect it from the feet. I'll find a way to submit you with a flying, jumping over and pulling the guard and getting you into an arm bar. Or I'll put you to sleep like a John Jones versus Machida. I can do it all. But my specialty is boxing, man. Boxing, and when I see a good boxer, I can do the shoulder roll, the Bobby Green, the Mayweather shoulder. I know everything there is about it. I trained it, and I taught it for years. So when I see a good this girl's boxing is crisp, is beautiful. You know what kind of stuff that she does is even better than your usual. I don't even see people, I can't think of anybody in the UFC currently that has this type of level of boxing. Like, for example, one of the things that I noticed that she does, which is going to be very effective, she's getting better in her boxing. What she does is she moves up and down with her, not just her shoulders, but her hands are going up and down. So now you don't know, is she going to come with this jab? Is she going to come with this? Because she's moving them both up as if she... So when she's pretending to come forward with both hands, unless you're going to do this and not be offensive and just block with both hands, which means that she'll still find a way to come through with the punches, but you can't be offensive and defensive at the same time, and that's what she forces you to do. Unless you're going to back away from her, where then you're not going to be able to have power, because in order to have power, you got to turn, you got to pivot your foot, and you got to hit with your hips, and that means that you can't do it while you're walking backwards. So in order to get the exchanges, the better the exchanges with someone like that, you got to be prepared to take hits or be the first one to hit her to make her be defensive. And her footwork is like she's floating on her toes. She's like a Muhammad Ali in a sense. She's not staying, she's light on her feet. She does the footwork, like she looks like she's dancing in the ring. She's very light, but at the same time, she's moving her hands. You don't know where she's going to come from. And she could, when you're doing that, it's like you're setting, you got to lead with speed and then follow with the power. Even when you're flicking, you got to flick, and then you got to put the power right at the end of it. You don't start with the power, because then you're slower, you're predictable, and you're not going to get as much power because you can't use the speed velocity behind it, which is what she does. She uses the velocity, the speed. She leads with the speed, follows with the power. She's very unpredictable. And if she just sticks with the boxing all night long and stuffs the takedowns, this is going to be her fight by far. And she's the underdog, so I'm putting my money on the plus side. As I said, anytime it's going to be a close fight, I want my money on the right side. So you guys got my picks. I got some nice parlays on this ticket. If you guys want the parlays, jump on the Patreon. It's not too late. The fights are tomorrow night. You can make a killing. I got a beautiful parlay. I even have one that you can almost guaranteed to cash. And then I got another one that you can use a little bit of the profits from that one to get you a nicer, big one that should hit. But even if it doesn't hit, you're going to still make profits. So the system is flawless, bulletproof. It's just a matter of how much you're going to make, not if you're going to make. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the reminders. I'll see you in the next video coming up. I'm going to talk about underdogs and fades of the week. Thank you guys for your time. I forgot one fight that I didn't mention inside the video. I'm going to add it on right now. The only fight that I forgot to discuss with you guys, and then I'll do a recap really quickly. Another underdog that I found that I would expect that should be able to get the victory and pull the upset. According to the odd makers, they got Sherrard Blackledge as the favorite against Tucker Lutz, I just found out. And I got Tucker Lutz winning this fight. He's got the more experience. He's going to be the stronger guy. As I was mentioning, just like the same advantage how Gravely had over his opponent, I expect it to be the same way here. If it goes to the ground, he's the smaller guy with the shorter reach, but he'll be the more stronger guy in the ground and getting the better of the grappling exchanges. And I also see him being able to get the stronger striking. So if he can close the distance or get in the clinch, he'll be able to get the better in the exchanges on the feet as well, or take it to the ground, because the smaller man usually is more capable of being able to get the fight to the ground if he wanted to. It's like a football thing. When you're the lowest man, always usually gets the tackle over the taller man. All right, so you got another underdog pick right there in Tucker Lutz, who's got the better experience. They're pretty much very well evenly matched as far as like experience, but not experience, I'm sorry, level of opponents that they fought is not much of a difference. They haven't really fought too high level. Maybe slightly I would give the edge to Sherrard, but I wasn't so like, remember, this is the Dana White Contender Series event, so it's not a regular type of a fight card. These guys are going to go balls to the walls trying to impress Dana White to get their contract. This is their only chance. So from what I know, who's the bigger dog in this? Between these two guys, I'm definitely going to be putting my money on the underdog. Who's going to be the bigger dog? Tucker Lutz. I know Sherrard is more of the type that would ball up, cover up, and be afraid to go into the exchanges, as opposed to the other guy who will welcome it and be glad to exchange and strike back instead of cover up. So that he'll look more better on the scorecards. He'll get more damage done to his opponent, because again, this is not something that you're going to come in disciplined and try to be conserving your energy. You're going to go all out to try to get a knockout. And when it comes to that type of a style matchup, the underdog Lutz has the advantage in that kind of a fight. That style of a dog fight, a bar fight, I'm going with the underdog. All right, guys. So to recap, we got I think 3 underdogs now. I'm not sure, but I didn't look at the odds, so I don't know who's an underdog for sure. But Lutz, I'm pretty sure, is an underdog here, going against somebody who I think is undefeated still, 5-0 only. But he's only got, I believe, 1 loss on his record as well, if not no more than 2, Tucker. And it was very early in his career. I think his first fight even. After that, he was very impressive. He's got Darce chokes under his resume, and he's way more impressive to me than the less experienced favorite in this fight, which is Sherrard. So again, I got recapping. I got Tucker Lutz, underdog. I got another underdog, Paulina Masayas, who I said is an impressive boxing style to her, has an impressive boxing style to her. I got JP Buys winning against Jacob Silva. I got Nick Maximov beating Oscar Coda. And I got Chelsea Hackett beating Victoria Leonardo. All right, you guys got my Dana White Contender Series picks, and let's make it another week where we had success. So we're still undefeated against the casino. All right, guys, thank you for your time. Have a good day.